Hello everybody and welcome to Thursday's edition of Starting Out Solitary. Today I will be your host, and little Persimmon has decided that he needs to be in the video as well. So today we're going to expand on the subject of monotheism in paganism. We're actually going to extend a little bit further than that, but we will get into that. So first I'm going to expand on a few things. We've already talked about this week what monotheism means, what polytheism means, and kind of how some people feel that they are at odds with each other. So there are lots of different variations of monotheism though. One of the first examples I thought of when I saw this topic was Aten, which was a god worshipped primarily in ancient Egypt in 5 BC. Give me 1 second because I'm going to go over to the full name. So it was shortened in a lot of different cartouches to say Aten or Ra-Horus Aten. However, the whole full title was Ra-Hokatiti, which means who rejoices in the horizon. His name is as the light of the sun disk. Something interesting about Aten is he didn't necessarily have, like most Egyptian gods do, a humanistic form. So some people say that that's a quasi form of monotheism because they didn't worship any other gods. However, anyone who has looked at the Egyptian pantheon knows that it is plentiful. So it kind of goes into monolatry, which is in the Greek mono, single, and latria, which means worship. It's the belief in existence of many gods, but the worship of one, which also relates to henotheism, which is a religious system in which a believer worships one god without denying that others may worship other gods of equal validity. So, now that we've defined those terms, we've touched this week about Christian or Christo-pagans. I feel like we should also relate that there are other tribal cultures that have one primary divine source that they worship, which is a form of monotheism. And it kind of, it gets to a point where it breaks down so far that we're just adding labels to things. I mean, at the end of the day, does it really matter whether our spiritual practice aligns with someone else's spiritual practice? Much like Pandora said the other day, if someone can attribute those beliefs of following one god, praying to one god, or in the case of the Vestal Virgins in ancient Rome, the Vestal Virgins had another type of heanism where they knew that other gods existed, but they only served Vestia for 30 years. And so, I mean, do we define that as monotheistic? Because they're only worshiping one god, or goddess in this case, or an Aten. So, I mean, these are the two primary examples that I think of, but I'm sure that if I actually did research, that I would find multiple examples throughout the ancient world. And so, do I personally, as a natural pantheist, believe that monotheism could work? I mean, depending on how you label things and how you define things, sure, but there comes a certain point when you have to live and let live, and I don't think anything that any one particular person says can take away from your pathway. If you can find that you can use the Torah, the Tanakh, or the Bible to do spell work or witchcraft, or you find that working with Hera over, the entire Greek pantheon is beneficial to you, or you find that serving Sekhmet while acknowledging other gods but not necessarily serve them is beneficial, then is that a form of monotheism? I mean, at the end of the day, I don't think it really matters about what all of us can relate to. It's about what someone's personal practice relates to and how that works for them. So, I will see you guys next Thursday, and we will discuss another exciting adventure. I'd like to know in the comments below what you think. Do you think that we should really find labels and make everyone stand on their corner? Or should we accept that a lot of people come to paganism because there are not necessarily defined rules and allow people to use the practice that works for them? Whether we consider that monotheistic, polytheistic, hedonistic, polyandry, all of those things. So I will see you guys next Thursday.